Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Krayden. I'm sorry I missed live QP today. I had to make a trip to the hospital, as you can see. A little bit of an accident this morning. This is why I'm wearing my reading glasses for a change, if you're wondering. So we were watching Question Period from the emergency room this afternoon where I was sitting, and I see Pierre Poilievre getting kicked out. When I come back, I, I've got a few things to say about that.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please give the station a thumbs up, subscribe. You've done marvelously over the last couple of days. Thank you so much for your support. We've gone over the the level we wanted. We're approaching 22,000 subscribers. I want to hit 25,000 subscribers by mid-May. We can do it, and YouTube is not going to suppress this channel. It's not going to suppress this news. So what happens today in the House of Commons? Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the official opposition, the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, gets thrown out of the House. Not literally, but he gets dismissed by Speaker Greg Fergus, who has been in the pocket of Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government from day one. Since he assumed that office, that mantle of speaker, he has been tirelessly working against the official opposition, tirelessly working for the government. This is the most partisan speaker of my life. I cannot remember a speaker more partisan than Greg Fergus. This man is an outrage. And to throw Pierre Poilievre out of the House today on the basis that he called Justin Trudeau a wacko and an extremist is outrageous. Justin Trudeau is a wacko. His politics on drug decriminalization are wacko. They are extreme. They're leading to deaths, overdose deaths in British Columbia. And watch out if Toronto wants to adopt this and become a city state of legal hard drugs. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, sometimes a faux conservative, is actually stepping up to the plate on this one and saying, no, don't do it. We don't need free or hard drugs without any criminal offense. This is going to be disastrous. It's going to lead to more overdoses, more deaths. They have been trying this harm reduction crap for so long in BC. It was the first home of a so-called safe injection site. Nothing safe about injecting heroin. Never will be, never has been. It is a deadly, lethal substance. Addicts are dying left and right in Vancouver because it's so easy to inject heroin. They've been doing it for years at these injection sites where they could do it legally. Now it's legal everywhere. Playgrounds, and the BC government, this leftist, horrible, odious government of David Eby, even they want to stop it because they know they're going to wear this around their necks like an albatross in the next election. So sorry I wasn't here to watch what happened today in Question Period with you all, but I have been following up since the story. Let's have a look at this outrageous activity in Canada's one-time democracy.
His extreme and radical drug policy has increased overdose deaths in British Columbia by 380%. In the year following his decriminalization of crack, heroin, and other hard drugs in hospitals, transit buses, coffee shops, and parks where children play, there has been a record-smashing 2,500 deaths. Will the Prime Minister accept the BC NDP's demand to recriminalize those drugs?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, I just answered that question. What hasn't been answered by the Leader of the Opposition is why he chooses to continue to court extreme right nationalist groups like Diagon.
Answer the question. What in the hell is going on here? What does Pierre Poilievre have? What does this have to do with Diagon supposedly supporting Pierre Poilievre. I'll have more to say about this in a minute, but he can't even answer a simple question.
Is to denounce these extremists who don't believe Canadians should coexist with each other. Instead, they call for war and tell people to follow their instincts accordingly. The leader of the Conservative Party is actively courting the support of groups with white nationalist views. It is disturbing, and he needs to stand up and apologize now.
Right now.
This is the block. This is the guy who did block.
Colleagues, so soon in question period, it is important that we try to control ourselves. I'll ask the honourable member from St. Albert, Edmonton, please, to allow members to ask the questions and members to respond. The honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I always condemn extremism and racism, including from the guy who spent the first half of his adult life as a practicing racist, dressing up in hideous racist costumes so many times.
Right on. That is the truth. Trudeau is the racist. He calls his enemies racist because that's what he's been up to.
The honourable member, Leader of the Opposition, knows that to make an accusation directly at the character of a single person is not appropriate. And I'm going to ask all members to control themselves.
We've got a little bit of infighting
I'll ask the
going on here.
honourable Leader of the Opposition to rephrase this question and to start from the top.
Mr. Speaker, I will also condemn the extremism of a Prime Minister who gives hundreds of thousands of dollars of anti-racism money to a Jew hater who has proposed shooting Jews in the head. I condemn a Prime Minister who allows the IRGC, which murdered 55 Canadians, to remain legal. And I condemn a Prime Minister who allows open use of crack, heroin, meth, and weapons in hospital rooms that threaten nurses and on school buses next to children. Will the Prime Minister reverse his extremist policies?
This is very honest and totally appropriate.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of Opposition is showing us exactly what shameful, spineless leadership looks like. He shakes hands with white nationalists.
It looks like you, Justin.
Report the support of those members and has the nerve. Get it together, Greg!
Look at Fergus.
Transit. When will we put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister?
All right, that's the word he apparently shouldn't have said. Wacko policy, wacko Prime Minister.
No. That is not there are a couple of things which are going on here today, which is not acceptable. And I ask all members, please, to keep themselves, to control themselves. I'm going to ask two things.
This is unacceptable, Fergus. Your partisanship. You're carrying water for the Liberal Party and Justin Trudeau. That is not acceptable.
One, I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to withdraw that term, which is not considered parliamentary.
Mr. Speaker, I replace wacko with extremist. He is an
The honourable member to please. I'm going to ask the Leader of the Opposition once again to just withdraw that comment, please. And I'll invite the honourable member. I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to please withdraw that comment and simply withdraw that comment.
You think Fergus is ready for this today? You think he is prepared for this? I do. Yes, I do think so.
I'll replace it with radical Baptist policy.
I am not asking to replace. I'm asking the honourable member to just simply withdraw.
Little dictator. Get out of that.
Mr. Speaker, I replace the word wacko with extremist.
good enough for you, eh? This man is a disgrace to his
One last
office.
time. To please withdraw that comment and simply withdraw that comment.
I simply
Go to
withdraw
hell.
and replace with the aforementioned adjective.
He's all ready to go here with his paper. He had it prepared. He was
Poilievre,
ready to go. This
I
is
have
proof.
to name you for disregarding the authority of the chair. Pursuant to the authority granted to me by Standing Order 11, I order you to withdraw from the House and from any participation by video conference for the remainder of this day's sitting.
He was waiting for that. You bet he was. He was waiting for that to happen. I think Trudeau told him, find an excuse, Greg. Find a way to get rid of Poilievre. I don't want to answer any more questions about drug policy in BC or Toronto that is killing people. I don't want to hear about 2,500 overdoses in BC that was caused directly by my policy. I don't want to hear about those things. Get rid of them. That's what he told Fergus.
The second matter which I was going to bring up was the fact that I was hearing some catcalling from the far end of the House. I wasn't able to identify the person, but I'll ask all members to carry themselves in a way that is dignified for this House. The
You're
Right
not
Honourable
dignified.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Leader of the Opposition wants to talk about extremism. Well, a week ago, he visited a Diagon encampment. Diagon hates that minorities in this country get the same protections as everyone else, and they are charter-protected rights. Just yesterday, a week after the Conservative leader sat down with...
I'll ask the honourable member from Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes to please withdraw, to please only take the microphone when he is afforded the opportunity to ask a question. I'll ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister to continue. I'm going to ask the Right Honourable Prime Minister to finish his question. He has 15 seconds left on the clock.
Mr. Speaker, the association of the Leader of the Opposition with Diagon and their disdain for charter-protected rights brought them to just yesterday, a week after he sat down with Diagon members, he gave a speech pledging to overturn the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the rights of Canadians and our justice system. That's dangerous.
Now they're going after this notwithstanding clause deal. Now,
L'honorable député de Belleuil-Chambly.
The Honourable Member for
Gonna be
Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, I would like to congratulate you on your common sense today.
what a pile of shit you are. Excuse my language. So here's Scott Reid. Typical, Mr. I carry the water for the Liberal Party till I die, Scott Reid. Not the Scott Reid who's the member of Parliament for Lanark and Perth. Pathetic, desperate to work her way back into the boss's good graces. This isn't a reaction. It's an audition for a cabinet post. He could have put egg salad on his head and sang, Michael, row your boat ashore, and she'd be screaming his praises. Just sad. This is Scott Reid speaking about Member of Parliament, Calgary Member of Parliament, Michelle Rempel, as she left the question period with a host of other Conservative MPs in solidarity with Pierre Poilievre, who was removed by the Speaker. Absolutely incredible. So I do enjoy reading that. But before we go on, I've all had a chance to read that. Before we go on, I wanted to explain something about Diagon. Yeah, and Michelle responds to Scott Reid, big talk from a guy who's shoveled more shit for his bosses over the years than the guy who follows the elephants in an elephant parade. Yeah. I did a lot of reporting on Michelle. We'll go back to Michelle in a second here, but I want to make a point about Diagon. It is a non-entity. It's not even a real group. It's basically a boys' club that drinks on the weekend. And when they get drunk, they say stupid things. This is a farcical group. It has no political power. Pierre Poilievre is not trying to align himself with this group. They have no influence at all. In fact, the leader of Diagon once threatened Pierre Poilievre's wife in jest. This is well documented. You think Pierre Poilievre wants to support a group like this that would offend his wife in this manner? Do you think Pierre Poilievre has any time for this bogus group? Do you think Pierre Poilievre really is looking for their support? Do you think he even wants it or needs it? Rubbish. And Trudeau must know that. He must have enough brain power left in that thick skull of his to understand these basic political facts. He's dense and he's stupid, but he's politically smart. And obviously, I just answered my own question. That's the only reason he's bringing this up. It's just sheer politics. He knows Diagon is a non-entity. It's not some militia on the prairie. It's not some threat to the government at all. So let's get real about this and stop accusing Pierre Poilievre of being a white supremacist. It's nonsense. Back to Michelle.
I am here just outside the chamber of the House of Commons, where the Liberal Speaker, Greg Fergus, just ejected the leader of the Conservative Party from the House of Commons during question period. So for those of you who are just joining, to be clear what just happened, I'm just outside the chamber of the House of Commons. The Speaker of the House of Commons just ejected the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, Pierre Poilievre, from the House of Commons for asking questions in the House of Commons. And this is what's going to get all of you mad. And you need to share this video so people see what's actually happening here. Today, Pierre Poilievre, moments ago in the House of Commons, was asking questions of the Prime Minister about why he is failing to grant the BC NDP party's request. This is the NDP government in British Columbia to essentially end the policy of decriminalizing hard drugs like heroin and crack, which is creating untold amounts of death and destruction across the country. What Justin Trudeau did was he was getting up in the House of Commons saying all of these crazy things. And did the speaker chastise, did the so-called neutral speaker chastise Justin Trudeau? Of course he didn't. What did he do? While Pierre Poilievre was asking hard questions about this issue, about stopping crime, about taking hard drugs off the streets of Canada, what did he do? He threw him out of the House of Commons. He just threw the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada out of the House of Commons. That is, like, as a member of Parliament who represents 120,000 people, the fact that the Speaker of the House of Commons was complicit in stopping questions on a topic of such huge enormity. And by the way, this was after the Speaker refused to grant an emergency debate on this issue. And also, Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the House of Commons, or the leader of the opposition, he pointed out in this request for emergency debate yesterday that this is an emergency debate. People are dying. And yet the Liberals are doing nothing. And that Justin Trudeau, he gets up in the House of Commons and he's trying to deflect and make accusations and all this sort of stuff. Did Greg Fergus hold him to account for any of this stuff? Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. Yet he threw out Pierre Poilievre. Conservatives, we walked out in solidarity with Pierre Poilievre because this is outrageous. And I don't care how you vote. I don't care if you actually are a Liberal supporter. That is your right. But you should be very concerned about what just happened in the House of Commons today, because you cannot have a proper democracy unless the government is allowed to be held to account. This is this is one of the core principles of Canadian democracy. And I have been elected for a hot minute and I have never seen something happen like this. And guys, you know this is not going to be appropriately or if at all reported in the mainstream media. So you need to share this video. And again, let me talk to people. Look, I get it. You might not be a conservative, but you should care about what just happened in the House of Commons. The leader of the opposition was just ejected during question period for holding the government to account. This is not how Canadian democracy should function. We're going to We are going to go and sort this out. I promise you, the entire caucus of the Conservative Party of Canada is standing in solidarity with our leader, and we are going to fight this. Share this video, help us get the word out, and pray for us. Working hard for you in Ottawa. Have a good day.
Share the video, share this video. Mine. I've locked horns with Michelle over the years on a couple of things, but she was a damn fine immigration critic, and she's dead on today. She's spot on with her criticism. If this can happen to Pierre Poilievre, it can happen to any opposition leader. This is a speaker who has reached his shelf life limit. His due date is past. His best before date is past. This man should be gone from the speaker's chair. He's already demonstrated how partisan he is when he leaves the country and makes glowing remarks about other infamous liberals. We know what his biases are. He's clear about it. He should not be speaker. Clearly, should not be speaker. And this was an outrage today. This was a day of infamy. Another example of the unalloyed narcissism of Justin Trudeau, but also of the unalloyed partisanship of Speaker Greg Fergus. Enough is enough of this clown. He should go. Thank God Trudeau's days are limited as well. If the voters don't kick this guy out of office, I think his own party caucus and cabinet will within the next couple of months, because clearly he needs to go too. This was a very black, dark day for Canadian democracy. I haven't seen anything like this from a speaker ever in my lifetime. I've been following politics since I was about 11 years old, and I have seen nothing on this level of arrogance, supreme political arrogance from a speaker and a prime minister. And a prime minister who has the audacity to suggest Pierre Poilievre was supporting white supremacists when it was this prime minister who demonstrated to his friends in private and public functions how good he was at doing blackface routines. And that's about the only thing he's ever been good at. And that's shameful. I'm going to say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching. We're back tomorrow live at Question Period. I'll be on the Neil Oliver podcast in the morning. I've got to get up bright and early. I'm talking to Neil at 7, so I'll be on his show this week. I know a lot of you like Neil Oliver, and a lot of you watch him. He's become a very good friend of mine in the last 3 months, and I'll be on his show tomorrow, and I'll be doing Question Period live at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We're back, and I tell you, this place never ceases to amaze me. And the bad behavior, not by Pierre Poilievre, but by the speaker and by this lying prime minister, never ceases to amaze me. Saying goodnight for now. We're back tomorrow.